Benjamin Franklin once said, "In this world, nothing can be said to be certain except for death, taxes, and the need to regularly change your running shoes." Alright, maybe not the last one, but it's true that us runners need to regularly change our running shoes every now and then. Do you sometimes feel like you're needing to change them a little bit too often, and it's a bit of a pain to constantly shell out all that cash for a new pair of running shoes? In this video, I'll share some top tips to help your running shoes last longer. But first, why do running shoes wear out exactly? Well, there's three main reasons. Firstly, deterioration of the foam. Running shoes contain a layer of foam in the midsole, which essentially acts like a shock absorber, cushioning your legs and feet from the impact of hitting the ground. Over time, the foam compresses in on itself and it gradually loses its springiness. Secondly, damage to the upper. This is the top section of the shoe which covers the foot, and it also holds the laces. The upper can get damaged through the stretching motion as you run, harsh weather elements, and sometimes the wear and tear can even cause it to become detached from the midsole of the shoe itself. Thirdly, damage to the outsoles. This is the bottom of the shoe which makes contact with the ground. It's typically made of rubber and it contains the tread pattern and the lugs designed to give you grip and stability during your run. Over time, the constant striking of the ground wears down the layers of the outsole, and just like a car tire, it loses its tread over time. It starts to get smooth, and as a result, you don't have as much grip and durability whilst you're running. Now, unfortunately, changing running shoes at some point is inevitable. We can't make them last forever, but there are some practical steps that we can take to maximize the life of our shoes. Tip number one, wear your running shoes only for running. Whilst it may be tempting to chuck your running shoes on to go to the shops, to go to the gym, or just to hang out with some friends, this isn't going to do the life of your shoe any good, and it will add to the mileage unnecessarily. Any steps you take in your running shoes, even if you're not running, will compress the foam inside, and it will mean that they last for a lot less time. The foam will lose its springiness much quicker, and you won't get the maximum value out of your running shoes. Number two, wear the right shoes for the right terrain. Road shoes are built for paved, smooth surfaces like roads and pavements, and taking them on the trail will wear them down quickly as they're not designed to deal with the demands of dirt, rocks, and mud. On the other hand, trail shoes usually feature aggressive tread and more aggressive lug patterns. This is fantastic for the rigid demands of running on a trail, but if you wear them on the road, they are going to get worn out pretty quickly. If you're running on a mixture of trail and road, work out before you set out the door which terrain is going to be the most common throughout that route, and then wear that particular running shoe for that particular run. Number three, when you need to clean your running shoes, the best approach is to wash them by hand, get some cleaning products and gently clean them, and never put them in a dryer. Putting your running shoes in a dryer can expose them to some really harsh and hot temperatures, which will wear down the glue, it will wear down the materials in the shoe, and as a result they will degrade much quicker. Number four, dry your shoes after they get wet as soon as possible. Whilst we can't avoid running in the rain or getting our shoes wet sometimes, it's important to keep them dry and free of soaking up any excess moisture. Not only will leaving your shoes wet for a long time damage the integrity of the shoe and seep into the materials, making them weak over time, it will also leave them smelling pretty foul, and they won't feel fresh or comfortable to wear. And as a result, you're more likely to not enjoy running in those particular shoes. I tend to use newspaper or old magazines that are just lying around my house. I scrunch up the paper into a ball, chuck it inside the shoe, and then let it soak up any excess moisture. And if the shoes are particularly soaked, you can leave them next to a radiator, close enough to get warm, but not too close that they get absolutely boiling. Number five, rotate your running shoes. Now, it's a big investment to buy a pair of running shoes, let alone 2 or 3. but it's certainly worth it to prolong the life of your running shoes. Like ourselves, after we've been for a long, hard run, running shoes need a rest. The foam inside will have become compressed and squeezed together as you've been running, and the running shoes typically need a while to decompress and to relax again back into a position closer to what they were prior to the run having taken place. So rotating your running shoes, wearing one pair one day, another pair the next, can do your shoes massive favors in terms of making them last for longer. Number 6, get the right pair of running shoes for your running style. If you are a neutral runner, buy a pair of neutral shoes. If you are an overpronator, buy a pair of shoes designed for overpronators. Running shoes are designed for different types of running, and they may be reinforced or propped up in certain areas to support particular runners' need. And if you don't have the right running shoe for your particular running style, then you'll find that you're wearing out parts of your shoe a lot quicker than the other parts, and as a result the shoe will lose its structure over time and it won't be able to support you as well as you need it to. If you don't know your running style, visit a local running store and ask one of the staff members to do a gait analysis. This is a small test. You'll run on a treadmill and your running style will be analysed, and that staff member will be able to help you work out what your running style is and then recommend the right running shoe type for you. You'll buy the right shoe and your shoe will last longer. Linked to that point, number 7, get the right size of running shoe. Now this one is pretty common sense, but if you get a shoe that is too small or too big for you, that will most likely impact your ability to run comfortably and properly, and you may find yourself doing a really awkward, really weird kind of running, which puts stress on different parts of your foot. The shoe will most likely break down quicker over time. So if you're in doubt and you particularly like the look of a running shoe, I would highly recommend, again, visiting a running store or buying a shoe from a website where they can do returns easily and efficiently. Number 8 is to always tie and untie your shoes. Now, it's really tempting to save time to just shove your feet into your running shoes rather than having to tie and untie them, but it's always worth the extra time and effort. Shoving your feet into your shoes can put excess stress on the heel at the back of the shoe and on the upper itself, stretching it out, and this can cause breakages, wear and tear, unnecessary bending and stretching of the shoe over time, which can really limit the life of the upper and the heels. If you really can't do without slipping them on and off, I'd highly recommend getting a special kind of lace which allows you to slip on your shoes without putting excess pressure on the upper or the heel. Number 9 is to store your running shoes safely between runs, ideally in a cool, dry place in the running shoes' own dedicated space. Avoid hot car boots and trunks where really hot temperatures can happen pretty easily. Avoid leaving them outside where they're going to be exposed to the elements, and avoid leaving them at the bottom of a shoe cupboard where they can get crushed and squeezed by other shoes. So we've gone through some tips of how to make your running shoes last for longer, but when do you know that it's time to bite the bullet and change your running shoes? Telltale signs include the tread at the bottom of the shoe becoming really smooth, and you notice that you're actually not able to grip as well as you was before. If you're starting to notice sudden aches and pains in your legs and feet after or during your runs, and if you can see visible, irreparable damage to the upper of the shoe or anywhere else on the shoe for that matter. When it's the end of your running shoes life, be sure to recycle them in a recycling centre, a running store, or at an organisation that accepts and recycles old running shoes. Thanks very much for watching. I hope it was helpful. I've been Craig, this is Running Cafe, and I'll see you again in the next one.